Don't Shout at the Vegetables, Lessons in Sustainable Leadership and Human Growth, written and narrated by Max Kent.
Evening to all of our listeners, and welcome to the Global Business Insight podcast. In episode 9, we will be discussing one small patch. And what does it mean? We will actually explore why sustainable change doesn't come from big dramatic transformations, but from really these small, consistent improvements that actually stick. And of course, I'm joined with my partner in crime, Max Kent. Hi, Max.
Hi, Charlotte.
Great to have you back. And tell us a little bit more about the continuation of your book, of your model that you've created. So let's dig right into question 1, Max. Why are small patches, in your opinion, more effective than these big transformations?
Okay, hi everyone. Charlotte, thanks again for having me on our own podcast. Fantastic to be doing this series. I mean, the interest and the great positive comments I've been having as part of this series on Don't Shout at the Vegetables has been fantastic. So getting to the end of the series now, it's been great to get into all the topics of it. So last 2 episodes of this series are going to be where we really get to the sort of core ideas within the book. This particular one, I think when I've been involved in software launches, when I was in a software business and we would go with customers, we would normally say to them, let's have a launch where we take on maybe department by department rather than what we'd class as a big bang. In this question you've asked me, that's a big transformation project. In sales, in software, it's sometimes referred to as a big bang launch. I've seen them go horribly wrong because you can try and take on far too much at one time. So when you're working with small patches in this context, small patches work because they respect the limits of actually the real human capacity, while you still move forward in section by section. You know, you're breaking things down into bite-sized chunks rather than trying to take on the whole change in one go. So instead of trying to transform everything at once, what you're doing is transforming one visible area and proving to yourself that it's possible at the same time, actually. So that success gives you the confidence and energy to then tackle the next patch, because the last thing has done and it's worked. And now you're on to the next stage of that transformation. So over time, that will all compound. So that compounding effect of all those little patches, all those little bite-sized chunks you've taken care of, that will outperform any kind of big bang transformation where you're taking on the whole thing in one go, because it's just too much for anyone to take on. So we're just talking about how the best way is to work on a large project with the way human capacity works, really. So that's what that's talking about.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. And Max, if we dig a little bit deeper into the chapter, how does micro order create macro calm inside of the teams?
Okay, this is a similar thing to the last thing, breaking things down into easy to manage chunks where you can take on one element of a project, complete it, then move on to the next one. Before you know it, you'll have completed everything. So micro order is very much the same sort of concept. It's like clearing one workflow or simplifying one approval chain. Just doing one thing, taking care of it, making it sorted, that reduces background noise. It's quite interesting when you do that. When you are feeling overwhelmed next, try it. Try just going, I'm feeling really overwhelmed because there's so many things going on. I'm just going to do one thing, take care of it and sort it. Suddenly everything else feels a bit lighter. Teams are the same. They'll feel the difference immediately. When there's less bottlenecks and there's less confusion, inevitably there's more predictability in the job roles they're doing. That in turn reduces friction and creates what we class here as macro calm, because people are stopping to waste emotional energy on things that are actually avoidable. And when a team's working in calmness, that improves thinking, collaboration, and overall performance. So we like a sense of calm when we're working. I think it's a much more productive way to be.
Oh, absolutely. It's very important, just important to slice the elephant into pieces and take it step by step instead
There you
of
go.
overstressing. Why does then this whole overwhelm paralysis action?
The term that I always end up coming up with, which isn't in the book, but it's a classic, is you can't see the wood for the trees, because when you're looking at the whole of a problem, you can't see any singular element of it. So when you talk about, the only way to eat an elephant is to break it into bite-sized chunks, again, you wouldn't be able to do the whole thing in one go because it's just too much for anyone to take on. Any project is the same. If you're working on a complex project that's got multiple project points, stakeholders, all sorts, um, as much as you might be positive for being given that project in your work, it still can create that sense of overwhelm because you just don't know where to start. And that's because your brain can't actually see a clear starting point because everything feels the same. Everything feels equally urgent, equally impossible, equally difficult. And everything then rolls up into this big sense of overwhelm because you don't know where to start and you can't see the wood for the trees. So if you look at one small patch again, that gives you that defined sort of bounded place to begin. And once you take care of that, and that first task, that first bite-sized chunk is taken care of, your nervous system actually receives a signal that says we're not stuck, we're moving, and that breaks the freeze response and restores a sense of agency. So I'd urge everyone listening to this to try this. Next time you're feeling overwhelmed, just pick one thing, finish that, get started, and just feel how much you'll feel that tension come out of your shoulders, out of your nervous system, because you are starting to relax and get back to calmness. It's really quite stark when you try it. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about how overwhelm can really paralyze you.
Mm-hmm. And then you were talking about these small wins. So how do small wins restore psychological safety?
Well, isn't it great? I think your brain doesn't really know the difference between a big win and a small win. It's just a positive win. So give yourself that win. Take care of something small, get that small win. In business we talk about quick wins, and that's why, because quick wins in a business when we're working on a larger project are fantastic for the morale and the psychology of the team and the business, because everyone can see the progress then. And what we're doing actually is restoring psychological safety by giving people evidence that their effort is leading to meaningful change. So when your team sees that there's a pain point, and that they've raised and that's actually been addressed, then they trust more. They trust that what they're talking about is being heard and actually being taken care of. That in turn helps because they become more willing to surface more issues early because they know they're going to be addressed and listened to, and then they'll participate in further improvements. That then the relationship between the leaders and the frontline teams becomes way more collaborative and less of a sort of battle between the two.
I love the answer. Exactly. So thank you, Max, for sharing. So if we look at again these small patches, how do small patches scale across entire organizations?
Okay, so you scale taking care of those small patches by then standardizing and understanding and what's actually worked, and then replicate that thoughtfully. It might not be that taking care of that small patch was a standard task that can be replicated, but the ways of working, the way your team approached it, that can be replicated into other things. So after you fix something in one team or a process, document the principles, not just the steps. Um, then ask yourself, where else does that pattern apply within the business, and adapt to it rather than just copy and pasting? Because as I said, not every task is the same, and you can't just take on what you did and just copy and paste it across. You can look at how the team did it in principle and then apply those things. So that's what we're thinking. It's the way that these things are approached, and then replicating that is what we're talking about here. So scaling is about spreading the conditions. We're
Mhm.
not talking about cloning solutions.
Very interesting. And Max, what makes one small patch the most reliable leadership tool?
It's always available to you. No matter how busy or overloaded you are, there's always one thing you can do, one conversation, one process, one messy drawer, one meeting that maybe you don't need to have, one thing you can do to improve. And it turns that kind of driving towards change from being some sort of heroic event into something that's more of a daily habit. Um, Over a year, those habits all compound, as we said before, quietly to transform your life and your organization. So, again, I think it's a very powerful thing, and it's really quite overlooked, where everyone wants to take care of a big bang project and lead the whole thing, and deliver on it. And really, the only way you can do that is in a replicable, powerful way, is by breaking things down into small chunks and taking care of them one by one.
Well, I love how you said it and for all your advice and your guidance in this episode. And I think for our listeners, as you step into the week, don't try to fix everything, but really choose your one small patch that you want to focus on. Because as we heard from Max, the real change, it doesn't happen all at once. It grows one step at a time. Max, would you like to add anything at the end?
Just hope that everyone takes these words and acts on them. I certainly will. Every time I listen to these podcasts, I think I should really do that myself. So, it's not just for our listeners, it's for ourselves, because these things are not always obvious. And, everyone has to keep reminding themselves of these things. So that's what we're here for. So hopefully those words resonate with you all. We'll see you on the next podcast.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening. See you next time.
Don't Shout at the Vegetables: Lessons in Sustainable Leadership and Human Growth. Written and narrated by Max Kent.